Hi everyone, a very good evening, a very good evening and welcome to the session. I can see a lot of you were waiting. I welcome all of you to this session. We are starting Shubharamb of the Nishchay Batch for second year MBBS professional exams. All of you who have joined us, big congratulations are in order. First year pass हो गया, सबसे बड़ी लड़ाई, बहुत बड़ी लड़ाई आप लोगों ने जीत लिया. Now coming on to second year, I will be starting the session. Today is the first class and I'll be giving you a little orientation of what to expect in this year, especially with microbiology, especially with the Nishchay batch that a lot of you must have enrolled in. A lot of you might be watching this video on YouTube because you have an interest and you might want to potentially join us for this batch. So if I can just have a look at the comments and I can interact with a few of you who have joined us. YT comments. Right, guys. So today I'm here to talk to you about बात करने आए हैं आज. ठीक है, आज बात करते हैं. सेकेंड ईयर MBBS स्टार्टिंग, माइक्रोबायोलॉजी स्टार्टिंग. अब तक बहुत सारे सीनियर्स से इंटरैक्ट कर भी लिया होगा आपने और बहुत सारे सीनियर्स ने हो सकता है डरा भी दिया हो, राइट, आपको कि माइक्रोबायोलॉजी बोरिंग है, ये वाला प्लेटफॉर्म ये नहीं ऑफर करता, वो वाला टीचर ये नहीं ऑफर करता, हमारे कॉलेज में ये नहीं होता, वो नहीं होता, हिस्ट्री पढ़ाएंगे, बोरिंग एवरीथिंग. A lot of the teachers tell you कि ऐसा नहीं है, boring नहीं है, hectic नहीं है. I will not tell you all of that because I will start with this small little story that with my introduction, I am Dr. Anusha Rathi. I am microbiologist by profession. I am a clinical microbiologist. I like to call myself an infectious disease specialist also. I am a working professional infection preventionist एंड एन इन्फेक्शन कंट्रोल ऑफिसर. ये सब नहीं पता तो जैसे जैसे हम मिलेंगे बात करेंगे ये सारी बातें आपको क्लियर होती जाएंगी, राइट. फर्स्ट ईयर में इंटरेक्शन था, ओके फाइन, राइट. फर्स्ट ईयर का रिजल्ट नहीं आया, आप बात करो. फर्स्ट ईयर का रिजल्ट नहीं आया, कोई बात नहीं, आ जाएगा. सेकेंड ईयर में तो जाना ही है, राइट. अभी चले जाओगे आई एम श्योर, नहीं तो सेकेंड ईयर में तो जाओगे ही, राइट. तब हम मिलेंगे, बात करेंगे. सो आई एम डॉक्टर अनुषा राठी. आई एम एन MBBS फ्रॉम लेडी हार्डिंग मेडिकल कॉलेज. आई एम एन MD ऑल्सो फ्रॉम LHMC in clinical microbiology. I have gone on to do my senior residency at AIMS Delhi. I have worked in the private sector as well as the top premier medical institutes of the country, and teaching is my passion. That is why I am here to teach all of you, and I love interacting with all of you lovely students, right. सो सेकेंड ईयर में हम पढ़ने वाले हैं माइक्रोबायोलॉजी और जो निश्चय बैच है दिस इज गोइंग टू ऑफर यू लाइव लेक्चर्स. नाउ अ लॉट ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स डू कम एंड दे टेल मी कि मैम आप सिर्फ प्रॉफ ओरिएंटेड हो या FMG के स्टूडेंट्स भी पढ़ सकते हैं या नीट PG वालों को भी ये सेशंस देखने चाहिए या नहीं. सो बेसिकली व्हाट द निश्चय ऑफर्स यू एंड व्हाट द टॉपिक्स वी कवर इज, ऑफ कोर्स वी वॉक विद यू थ्रू आउट द ईयर for these 8 to 10 months for your university and professional exams. So we build your basics, we give you a foundation. So even if you are somebody who is now aiming for FMG or you're an intern and you want to form your basics, then Nishchay is not a bad idea. Even though you can enroll for many other wonderful features which are there in the app, there are recorded lectures and everything. But if you're in a second year student, then enrolling for Nishchay right now would be a good idea because a live interactive session with the teacher really gives you a chance to ask your doubts, to have a two-way communication, so that right there and then you make sure that the thing is getting across, you are getting your doubts cleared and everything, okay. And since it happens regularly over a period of time, there is no rush. The teachers have ample time, they can clear all your doubts, and it is more interactive. It will really help you with your basics, which ultimately is going to help you in all of your competitive exams. Because recently we have seen a change or shift in the pattern of the questions which get asked, okay. So there is very much clinically integrated long stem questions which are being asked in a lot of competitive exams, especially NEET PG. This year NEET PG was long questions. You needed a lot of stamina to decode those clinical scenarios and then try to understand that what microbiology aspect are they trying to ask you in that long clinical based scenario or situation that they've given you, right. There is of course a lot of clinical integration which happens as the teacher is interacting with you. So especially Like I can speak for myself, in my Nishchay Batch lectures, I always come with clinical based scenarios for you, wherein we start dealing with the topic from the point of view of a patient that you might get, right? And finally, all next NEET PG, INSET, FMG inclusive lectures are taken. It's not that these lectures are only and only for second year prof. As and when we teach you, we keep telling you that these are your previous year questions, or this is a favorite question for the NEET PG, so that you can keep marking your books and moving ahead. Coming back to my subject, microbiology, when I was a second year student, this is what I felt, and this is what a lot of you also feel like, that this is a subject which feels like useless random information about useless random organisms, which I have to memorize for useless reasons. Okay, so when I was a second year MBBS student, I always tell my students this, कि जब हम फर्स्ट ईयर से निकल के सेकेंड ईयर में आते हैं, सडनली लाइफ स्टार्ट्स हैपनिंग टू अस, थोड़े से बड़े हो जाते हैं, एडल्टहुड में कदम रखते हैं, लॉट ऑफ अस लीव आवर फैमिलीज, शिफ्ट टू डिफरेंट सिटीज़, गो टू डिफरेंट कंट्रीज ऑल टुगेदर, एडल्टिंग हैपन्स, लाइफ हैपन्स, और मज़े भी करने होते हैं, थोड़ा सा लिंक छूटता है हमारा पढ़ाई से. बहुत सारे आपके लोग आपके आसपास एडवाइस कर रहे होंगे कि रोज़ पढ़ाई करो, रोज़ आधा घंटा दो, रोज़ 1 घंटा दो. Having been in your your shoes, having been a student, I understand it is not always possible to even give that 1 hour or that half an hour. So stay till the end of this lecture, because in the end I am going to give you one short mantra so as to how to not lose this touch. Okay, the only thing I am saying is do not lose touch. Now, how to stay in touch? How can you passively stay in touch with your subject or your syllabus without having to put that active effort of that half an hour, 1 hour every day? Because when we get down to it, in the real crux, on the ground zero of life, sometimes it's very difficult to even find that half an hour or 1 hour, when of course having sacrificed all your school life, and then suddenly first year being so hectic and heavy, and then it just goes away like that. Suddenly third semester is a time when you take a breather. At that time, how do you prevent yourself from flailing away and losing touch with your subject? So in the end, I'm going to give you a one-line mantra for it. Now, how to get over this strong feeling that we all get about microbiology? As a microbiologist and as a faculty, I will tell you that microbiology actually means, we have known from school that biology, logy means study, bio means life. So biology is the study of life. And which life are we talking about? The life which is present in microns or micrometers, which is so tiny that they cannot be seen with the naked eye. You need aid, or you need microscopes, you need techniques, technology to help them magnify so that you can see them with your eyes. Now, MBBS कर रहे हो, क्लिनिशियन बन रहे हो, डॉक्टर बन रहे हो, ह्यूमन डिजीजेस की बातें करनी है, ये माइक्रोबियल लाइफ कहाँ से आया? गुड इवनिंग टू एवरीवन. आई माइट नॉट बी एबल टू wish all of you personally by taking names, but a very good evening to all of you who are joining us today. It's very, very amazing to see a lot of you watching right now. So, as I was saying, क्यों पढ़ना है इन माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म लाइफ को, एक ह्यूमन लाइफ को पढ़ाओ ना, एंड दैट शुड बी इनफ. कॉन्सेप्ट है कि ये भले ही ऐसा फील होता है, बट ये हमारा एस्पेक्ट है जो इम्पॉर्टेंट है. देयर इज अ ब्रांच ऑफ मेडिसिन कॉल्ड एज इन्फेक्शियस डिजीजेस. इन्फेक्शियस डिजीजेस इंडिया में रह के तो आपके लिए बहुत ही ज़रूरी है जाननी, right? Because the microbiology that we are dealing with is not industrial microbiology, is not soil and water microbiology, is not food microbiology. It is clinical and medical microbiology that we are dealing with, right? ये आपको ले जाएगी इस रास्ते तक. Infectious diseases is a super specialty branch in India itself. कोविड जब आया, कोरोना वायरस, कौन था ये बताने वाला कि ये एक वायरस है? और वायरसेस का साइज इतना छोटा होता है कि अगर एक सर्जिकल मास्क आप पहनोगे तो आप प्रोटेक्ट नहीं हो पाओगे, आपको एक N95 मास्क लगाना पड़ेगा. कौन था ये बताने वाला कि अगर आपके घर में किसी को कोविड हो गया है तो आपको उसके साथ डिस्टेंस मेंटेन करनी है, या उनको क्वारंटाइन में रखना है, उनका रूम सेपरेट करना है. कौन था ये बताने वाला कि ट्यूबरक्लोसिस जैसी बीमारी जो इस देश में एंडेमिक है, यू कैन नॉट सर्वाइव बी अ डॉक्टर इन दिस कंट्री विदाउट नोइंग ट्यूबरक्लोसिस. ये कौन बताने वाला था कि अगर हम खिड़कियां खोल दें, वेंटिलेशन रखें रूम्स में, क्राउडेड प्लेसेस में, तो हम इन रेस्पिरेटरी इलनेसेस का ट्रांसमिशन रोक सकते हैं। ये सारी अंडरस्टैंडिंग एज अ डॉक्टर आपको होनी चाहिए, राइट? उस चीज़ के लिए तैयार करता है आपको सेकेंड ईयर का सब्जेक्ट क्लिनिकल माइक्रोबायोलॉजी, जिसमें हम बात करेंगे पर्टेनिंग टू इन्फेक्शियस डिजीजेस। इसीलिए हमारा अप्रोच क्लिनिकल रहने वाला है, हमारा अप्रोच स्टोरी फॉर्म में रहने वाला है, क्योंकि जो सो कॉल्ड फैक्ट हैवी सब्जेक्ट्स हैं, आजकल ये टर्म मार्केट में और सोशल मीडिया में बड़ा चल रहा है कि सेकेंड ईयर सब्जेक्ट्स आर फैक्ट हैवी। तो ये जो फैक्ट हैवी सब्जेक्ट्स हैं, इनको आसान बनाने का तरीका एक्चुअली इज स्टोरी टेलिंग। आपके घर में 15 से 20 लोग हैं आपके फैमिली में, आपको सबके नाम पता है, सबके बर्थडेज याद हैं। अभी MBBS में आए हो, बहुत सारे दोस्त भी बने होंगे, सबके नाम याद थे। कब बैठ के आपने उनके नाम ऐसे रटे थे कागज पे? नेवर, बिकॉज यू स्पेंड टाइम विद देम, बिकॉज यू नो देयर स्टोरीज, बिकॉज यू डील विद देम, बिकॉज यू इंटरैक्ट विद देम एवरी डे। हर दिन उनका चेहरा देखते हो, हर दिन उनसे बात करते हो। तो एक इतनी फैक्ट हैवी चीज जैसे उनका नाम, उनका डेट ऑफ बर्थ विच इज जस्ट नंबर्स, वेयर दे कम फ्रॉम, ये सब फैक्ट्स ही तो है ना, इसके पीछे कोई लॉजिक तो है नहीं। ये सब हमें कैसे याद हो जाता है? शाहरुख खान का बेटा आर्यन खान है, जिसने अभी अभी एक बड़ी फेमस नेटफ्लिक्स सीरीज बनाई है। ये कितना फैक्ट हैवी है, ये कितनी रैंडम बात है, पर हमें तो याद है बिकॉज इट इज इंटरेस्टिंग, बिकॉज इट वॉज प्रेजेंटेड टू अस विच इन्वॉल्व ऑल आर सेंसेस, विजुअल सेंसेस, मेमोरी सेंसेस, नॉस्टैल्जिया, इमोशन, साउंड, सारे सेंसेस को जब हम इमर्स करते हैं ना इस एक्सपीरियंस में, तो ये बात फील होनी बंद हो जाती है, राइट? सो माई all my hard work and all my I will only try to make you feel not like this when you're reading microbiology. So अगर बहुत सारे सीनियर्स ने बहुत ज़्यादा डरा भी दिया है ना, तो अभी के लिए भूल जाते हैं उस बात को, अपने एक्सपीरियंस से शुरू करते हैं। बिकॉज माइक्रोबायोलॉजी शुरू करते हैं, बहुत कुछ समझ नहीं आता, पर एक बार जब माइक्रोबियल वर्ल्ड की दुनिया समझ में आ जाती है, तो सब कुछ इतना लॉजिकल है और इतना मैथमेटिकल है कि आपको लगेगा नहीं कि आप बायो पढ़ रहे हो, राइट? सो स्टे विद मी फॉर दीज सेशंस सो दैट यू कैन गेट अ मैथमेटिकल लॉजिकल अप्रोच टू अंडरस्टैंडिंग माइक्रोबायोलॉजी, राइट? इन्फेक्शियस डिजीजेस हम पढ़ेंगे, ये बात हम कर चुके हैं। जो हमारे माइक्रोब्स हैं या माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स हैं, ये 4 किंगडम या 4 फैमिलीज के हैं बेसिकली। यू हैव द बैक्टीरिया, सिंगुलर, एक इकलौते, इसको बोलते हैं छोटे से को बैक्टीरियम। जब ये बहुत सारे हैं तो बैक्टीरिया, और इनकी स्टडी को बोलेंगे बैक्टीरियोलॉजी। एक सिंगल फंगस, बहुत सारी फंजाई, एंड इनकी स्टडी को बोलते हैं माइकोलॉजी। माइकोलॉजी ये थोड़ी अलग बात हुई, क्योंकि माइकोज मीन्स फंगस। ऐसे ही हमारा सिंगल वायरस, मल्टीपल वायरसेस और पैरासाइट एंड पैरासाइट्स। तो बेसिकली बैक्टीरियोलॉजी, माइकोलॉजी, वायरोलॉजी, पैरासाइटोलॉजी, इन 4 सेगमेंट्स में पहले माइक्रोबायोलॉजी को MBBS सिलेबस में पढ़ा जाता था। जो MD या सुपर स्पेशलिटी में अभी भी लोग हैं, वो अभी भी इन्हीं सब्जेक्ट में पढ़ते हैं, बिकॉज ईच वन ऑफ देम इज अ सब्जेक्ट इन इट सेल्फ। पूरा का पूरा एक सब्जेक्ट है, राइट? MBBS में अभी विद द चेंज इन द करिकुलम इन हेडिंग्स में हम नहीं पढ़ते हैं, बट मेजरली माइक्रोब्स क्लासिफाइड इन्हीं हेडिंग्स में रहेंगे। हाउ वी आर गोइंग टू अप्रोच द सब्जेक्ट इज, हम लोग बात करेंगे पहले जनरल माइक्रोबायोलॉजी की, क्योंकि इन माइक्रोब्स के नेचर को समझेंगे। एक बात मैं यहाँ पे बोलूँगी, अमंगस्ट ऑल योर फर्स्ट एंड सेकेंड ईयर सब्जेक्ट्स, माइक्रोबायोलॉजी इज वन सब्जेक्ट जिसमें आपको उस दुनिया में जाना पड़ता है। इट इज नॉट रिलेटेड, कोरिलेटेबल विद रियल लाइफ, बिकॉज उनका साइज इतना छोटा है। सारी बात हम इंट्रासेल्यूलर लेवल पे कर रहे हैं, बॉडी के अंदर कर रहे हैं। हमारी बॉडी और माइक्रोब्स का इंटरैक्शन जितने सेल्यूलर और मॉलिक्यूलर लेवल पे चलता है, उस बात को अगर हम रियल लाइफ जो हम जिंदगी जी रहे हैं, देख रहे हैं, उससे इमेजिन करेंगे, तो माइक्रोबायोलॉजी में हमेशा कंफ्यूज रहेंगे। सो व्हाट आई विल डू इज, I will gather all your senses from this macroscopic world and take you inside the microscope, and then we will look at that life. And then a lot of the logics will start coming very, very naturally to you, right? ये हमने बात करी about These fungi कुछ books जो students हमेशा पूछते हैं, these are certain standard books. इसमें कुछ foreign authors हैं, कुछ Indian authors हैं. Of course there is Anant Narayan and Panikkar. हम लोगों के time से यही वाली book चलती थी. I don't know how much all of you are reading it today. इसकी सिर्फ एक बात है कि a lot of integrated topics is not given. जैसे अगर आपको एक particular characteristic of bacteria की list बनानी है, तो वो लिस्ट एक जगह आपको इसमें कहीं नहीं मिलेगी. यू हैव टू गो थ्रू द इंटायर बुक एंड देन मेक योर ओन नोट्स. हैविंग सेड दैट, इट इज़ कंसिडर्ड अ स्टैंडर्ड बुक. वाइवाज में जब भी आप आंसर्स करेंगे तो एग्जामिनर वुड एक्सपेक्ट दैट द लाइन्स दैट यू आर कोटिंग आर फ्रॉम Anant Narayan. Okay, then of course there is Dr. C.P. Baveja's book. A lot of the students prefer it. I am not here to advertise any. There is Javid's, which is considered one of the best books of microbiology, but hardly anybody ever reads it. My advice would be, go to your college libraries, go to your seniors, borrow these books, read a chapter or two, see for yourself how much you are able to understand, which books language speaks the most to you, is the easiest for you to understand. कौन सी बुक का फॉर्मेट आपको ऐसा लगता है कि आप उसमें अपने नोट्स बना सकते हो. Then of course there is the Indian authors like Apurva Shastri, and Bailey Scott is also one of the standard books which can be referred for MBBS. There are many other standard books which are considered Bibles of microbiology, but they are for the MD students such as Topley and Lin and Garcia for parasitology, not for the purview of MBBS students. Certain authors, special mentions. A lot of the students, as we read microbiology, they get very, very interested in immunology and then they want to read more and more. So for them, I always suggest QB's immunology. There is also Riots, but Riots is a little language heavy and sophisticated for MDs. QB's has very nice pictures, very nice flowcharts. So if at all you end up getting really interested and want to read it for your own interest, then you may go for QB. Otherwise, it's not necessary at second year level. Then the book that I have read for parasitology is Chatterjee, but the problem is that it has not been updated for many, many decades almost. There is also this Indian author, Dr. Arora. A lot of the students like to prefer its book. Otherwise, if you have taken any one standard book, or if you are attending lectures, making notes, then parasitology gets taken care of more or less. Even more than that, if you go to your practical halls and look at those gross specimens of worms and everything that they show you, lots and lots of parasitology gets covered in the practical halls. Then a very beautiful book by Dr. Baijanti Mala is the textbook of medical virology. This book is preferred by faculty at AIIMS Delhi as well. So if you're really, really interested in virology, then this gives a lot of information. But the problem is that it really gives a lot of information, enough for even postgraduates to read. So if you are an MBBS and you get really interested in one of these subjects, you can reach out to me. I can guide you in how much to read from these books and how much is not required at your level. Having talked about books, of course, we are there. You can always enroll in Nishchay. You can always take pwmed mentorship or any other teachers that you might like. There is a sea of resources available for you, right? Finally, जो हमारा निश्चय बैच होगा, how we are going to take up the subject is, first we are going to talk about the topics that we are going to cover. Then we will deal with our actual topic, and then finally there will be a take home or a summary which finally you can take home, make a note of it and put on your walls or put in your notebooks, so that at the end of the day you remember the gist of the story. You just have to go through the important facts once, and you're not reading your books at the last time right before the exams, and you're not getting lost in the language and the is, was, when and where of the sentences that come your way, right? Good evening all of you. Right. A very special segment that we have for microbiology, especially in the Nishchay batch, is the food for thought segment. So basically, of course, you are in no age that I give you homeworks, and no teacher ever gives you homeworks. But at the end of every lecture, when you've understood that, okay, this is the concept, there is a food for thought. So suppose you know that when you have to look at the microorganisms, you look inside a microscope. That is what I also told you. But a food for thought is when you look at the bacteria under the microscope, are you observing it or is it observing you, right? So this is another perspective of thinking about things or looking at things. So at the end of every live lecture, you're going to get a perspective, a different perspective of looking at the topic that you just read. what it will help you to do is it will give you a 360 view of the topic that you have just read. So finally what you end up having is a core understanding of the topic, of the disease, of the behavior of the microorganism. And finally, if you get any clinical scenario or you get any questions, you're able to crack it very, very logically and mathematically, right? If you have any questions at this point of time, I will be more than happy to take up these questions for you. Now, I will just take you a little bit into the world of microbiology. Now, everything seems quite obvious that there are these microbes, and everything seems quite obvious that okay, there are these diseases, and then there is a concept of immunology, and then there is a concept of antibodies and this and that, and obviously all of this is taught to you even at the level of NEET UG. When you're reading biology, you have heard names like Edward Jenner, who made the vaccine, or Louis Pasteur, who gave the pasteurization that we use in our milks, etc. All of this seems very, very obvious right now, but it wasn't so since forever. Microbiology as a concept was something which had completely shook the world, because in a world where it was believed that humans arised from just dropped from heavens, or came out of water, some came out of fire or whatever, somebody came and told that okay, life erupts from life. So all of these concepts we are going to discuss in the first lecture, which I'm going to take tomorrow. Before that, I just want you to look at these pictures. So this is very, very old picture, before Christ, after AD, whatever timeline you might want to imagine. The times when it was quite dark and people used to die. Okay, I will talk about the gold standard textbooks, of course, right? So these infectious diseases were the biggest burdens of the world. Now you understand that vaccination is very, very common, and smallpox has been eradicated from the world, and now people are not dying from these infectious diseases so much that we can now focus on cancers and lifestyle diseases and everything. But at that time, the average life expectancy of humans was 35 years. And now, especially in India, and not too far ago, like in the early 20th century itself, it was around 30-35 years. And now with the advent of research in microbiology particularly, life expectancy has increased to 75, because we have been able to devise vaccines, we have been able to prevent epidemics, and जिसको हम महामारी बोलते हैं हिंदी में, outbreaks. So this used to be the situation over there. It used to be dark, grim times where people would just believe that some clouds of poisonous gases or some kind of miracle or magic has been conducted onto some village, and that is why everyone's dying in that village. When they would just fail to recognize कि actually एक मच्छर है जो डेंगू करता है और वो सबको काट रहा है, राइट? या फिर कोई वायरस है या कोई बैक्टीरिया है जो लोग जब एक दूसरे से बात कर रहे हैं तो एक दूसरे के साथ एक्सचेंज हो रहा है. कैसे होगा जब देखा ही नहीं था इन माइक्रोब्स को? तो हमारे एक शख्स हुए in the 1600s when people used to look like this. Now why am I showing you his picture and why have I suddenly started giving you this history lecture? Actually, the examiners like to torture you a little bit, and they like to ask these scientists of microbiology in exams. And there are plethora of lectures available, and you are very, very free to watch it too. But there is one single storyline which actually sums up all the important scientists of microbiology, and all of them are interconnected. So you really don't need mnemonics from their names and everything to remember their contributions. It is really just a story, one story which I will tell you, which integrates all of their lives works and all of these 5-6 scientists only which are asked in exams. Now this guy, Antony van Leeuwenhoek, someone was even writing in the chat box, because I'm sure you must have heard its name at the time of NEET UG also, or maybe if you're curious, you might have opened your books. Antony van Leeuwenhoek, or A.V. Leeuwenhoek, is called as the father of microbiology. Of course, patriarchal society, such an old man, he is the father of microbiology. But why? You know, why am I showing you this picture is, it is very, very easy to remember that a guy who belongs to such old times that we don't even have his photo. They will always give you a painting in the exams. We don't have his photo even. We only have a painting. So whenever you get a painting, you know you're talking about A.V. Leeuwenhoek. A.V. Leeuwenhoek was a tailor. ओके एंड उस टाइम पे टेक्नोलॉजी जो आई थी, अभी अभी आईफोन 17 आया है, 1600 AD में मैग्नीफाइंग लेंसेज आए थे। और एवी ल्यूवेनहुक बड़े टेक savvy थे, ही वॉज क्वाइट टेक savvy, ही यूज्ड टू ग्राइंड दीज लेंसेज, चेंज देयर मैग्निफिकेशन। अब क्यों इनको लेंसेज में इंटरेस्ट था? क्योंकि जो ये सिलाई करते थे, दोज थ्रेड्स वर वेरी वेरी थिन, सो ही वांटेड अ बेटर लुक, अ मैग्निफाइड लुक at the threads that he was sewing, because he was a tailor. And as he kept working with these lenses, grinding them, increasing their magnification power, while looking at some of his threads and clothes, he realized that there is something squiggly which is walking around under his magnifying lens. He picked up a pencil and he started drawing their images. And he called them little animalcules, because they are like animals, because they are walking around, but then they are so small that it would be kind of not okay to call them animals, so he called them little animalcules. So that is why we call him the father of microbiology, because for the first time ever in the history of human beings, somebody said that there is life which we cannot see, and it's all around us, and we are surrounded by that life, and they are also living and breathing and walking just like we are. It was such a big revelation for the world. Don't you think everybody should have just picked him up on the shoulders and be like, you are our hero? You know, what did the world tell him? Of course, the world told him, nobody cares. You know, nobody cared. People were so happy believing in their miracles and their random eruption of life that they never wanted to believe him that there is something that you cannot see. 2 centuries later, 2 centuries, 200 years later, came another two important scientists, which is these two guys, and these two images are also given to you in your exams. He is one guy, grumpy old man. He is also not quite happy looking. इतनी टेंशन है कि सारे बाल उड़ चुके हैं. इन दोनों ने बोला, I hate you. They hated each other. Now who is he and who is he? These are two guys who completely changed the face of modern microbiology. And microbiology as we know today, if I have to give the contributions to two people, then it would be these two guys. एंड ये ही दो वो है जिनसे मैक्सिमम क्वेश्चंस भी फ्रेम होते हैं. हाँ, इनकी ड्राइंग भी अच्छी है, दैट इज व्हाट हर्षिता, इनकी ड्राइंग भी बड़ी अच्छी थी एवी ल्यूवेनहुक की, है ना. ही टुक द टाइम टू ऑब्जर्व देम. अब इन दोनों की क्या कहानी है, इस बात को आज नहीं करेंगे, इस बात को कंटिन्यू करेंगे कल के लेक्चर में जब हम मेन माइक्रोबायोलॉजी स्टार्ट करेंगे. वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट द साइंटिस्ट्स ऑफ माइक्रोबायोलॉजी, देन वी विल गो इनटू अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ माइक्रोस्कोप्स एंड हाउ दे फंक्शन, एंड देन वी विल स्टार्ट ऑन विद द जनरल माइक्रोबायोलॉजी इटसेल्फ. जनरल माइक्रोबायोलॉजी क्यों पढ़नी है, बोरिंग है, ये है वो है. INICT में मैक्सिमम क्वेश्चंस जनरल माइक्रोबायोलॉजी से पूछे जाते हैं. प्रॉफ एग्जाम्स में जनरल माइक्रोबायोलॉजी के कुछ ही कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं जो बहुत हाई यील्ड शॉर्ट नोट्स हैं. और सबसे खराब बात जनरल माइक्रोबायोलॉजी की ये है कि उसको एग्ज़ाम से पहले पढ़ने में बहुत गुस्सा आता है. जब हमें मन कर रहा होता है कि हम मेन सब्जेक्ट्स पढ़ें, इतने सारे ऑर्गेनिजम्स आ गए, इनको रिवाइज करें, उस टाइम पे अगर एवी ल्यूवेनहुक और इन दोनों नफरती डूड्स के बारे में पढ़ना पड़े तो बहुत गुस्सा आता है, राइट. सो इसलिए मैंने ये स्टोरी स्टार्ट करी है, कल स्टोरी को ख़त्म करेंगे, और एक बार ही कहानी सुन लोगे, लाइफ में दोबारा कभी साइंटिस्ट और जनरल माइक्रोबायोलॉजी के बारे में सोचने की आपको ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. इफ़ यू हैव एनी डाउट्स, अ लॉट ऑफ यू आर आस्किंग मैम योर इंस्टा एंड ऑल, तो दीज आर माई सोशल मीडिया वेयर यू कैन रीच आउट टू मी एंड पिंग मी. एज प्रॉमिस्ड, मैंने बोला था क्लास के लास्ट में आई विल टेल यू one mantra, and that mantra is stay in the game. थर्ड सेमेस्टर MBBS में ऑफ कोर्स पार्टीज करनी है, ऑफ कोर्स हमें फेस्ट में जाना है, ऑफ कोर्स सोसाइटीज़ में जाना है, और क्या क्या नहीं करना है, और लाइफ विल हैपन टू यू. द ओनली थिंग दैट यू हैव टू इंश्योर इज यू स्टे इन द गेम. Now, how does one stay in the game without putting that active half an hour or 1 hour every day to sit down and study? नहीं हो पाता है, बहुत लोगों से नहीं हो पाता है. The way to stay in the game is not to underestimate the power of passive learning. ऐसे ही बैठ के passively सिर्फ अपने सब्जेक्ट से सराउंडेड रहो. अगर क्लासरूम जाओगे, जाना ही पड़ेगा अटेंडेंस के लिए, तो अपने प्रोफेसर की बात सुन लो, वो कुछ बताएंगे, पैसिवली आपके दिमाग में चला जाएगा. If you're going to the practical hall, instead of sitting in a corner and scrolling Instagram, go onto your desks, go onto your demonstration sessions, interact with the residents. Residents are young people, they're like your age, they're very interactive, you can always talk to them, you can ask questions, they show you these specimens. Imagine करो एक कोई कल्चर मीडिया एलजी मीडियम, अभी बात समझ नहीं आएगी, आगे आगे समझ आएगी. उसके बारे में प्रोफेसर ने कुछ बोला, आपने सुन लिया, आपको सिर्फ इतना अंदाजा हो गया कि टीबी के बैक्टीरिया के लिए ये मीडिया यूज़ करा जाता है. फिर उसी शाम को आप प्रैक्टिकल हॉल में गए, वहाँ आपने ऐसे ही देख लिया कि कुछ ब्लू ग्रीन कलर का कुछ टेस्ट ट्यूब में पड़ा है, आपने उठा के उसको देख लिया, उसके ऊपर माइकोबैक्टीरियम टीबी की कॉलोनी लगी हुई थी. उसी टाइम पे रेजिडेंट ने कुछ कुछ बता दिया कि भाई इसमें इतने हफ्ते लगते हैं, ये होता है, ये कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स है. आपने सुन लिया, आईज से देख लिया, हाथ से छू लिया. All your senses are now immersed in that experience and you will never forget it. कोई आधा घंटा बैठ के आपको पढ़ाई नहीं करनी पड़ी. इट्स जस्ट दैट यू डिड नॉट लूज आउट ऑन दी अपॉर्चुनिटी. घर जाओ, शाम को 2 घंटे का लाइव लेक्चर अटेंड कर लो. यहाँ पे हम कुछ बहुत सारी बातें बताएंगे, सुन लो बैठ के, सिर्फ बहुत कुछ आपके दिमाग में चला जाएगा. फिर एज एंड व्हेन द ईयर विल प्रोग्रेस, इधर उधर से अगर आप सुनते भी रहोगे ना, यू विल स्टे इन द गेम. Don't miss your classes, don't skip your classes, get all the help you need, take live classes, take batches, take recorded lectures, watch videos, whatever helps you, just stay in the game. And that is the one mantra that I want to give to second year students, because I understand that second year is at that time where you would want to take a little bit of a breather also, right? So this was all in this session, guys. I wanted to orient you to the subject, where I promise you it will not feel like a set of random facts about random organisms that you have to memorize for useless reasons. We will take it up very, very logically, very, very mathematically, and you will see in the lectures that follow. So I am going to see you very, very soon. I am going to see you tomorrow right at the same time, 6:30. And if you have any questions and queries, you can always reach out to me on my social media handles. I hope that this was a little interesting and it piqued your interest. A lot of you are writing the names of those two scientists who hated each other. But I will tell you why it is so important, why it is very important to know about their rivalry. Because if that rivalry was not there, nothing would have happened and you would not have been able to make the mnemonics that you need to make today in order to memorize what they did. Okay. Textbooks, I have already mentioned. I have shown you the images of a few standard textbooks. One of you was also asking. So of course you have standard textbooks such as Anant Narayan. In a lot of colleges, Shastri is preferred. Then there's Dr. Baveja sir's book. Javits and Bailey Scott are also certain standard books. Some Indian authors, if you have a lot of interest in specifically immunology, medical virology, parasitology, then you may refer to these books. The way we are going to take up microbiology is general microbiology, immunology. Then we jump into the systems where we will talk about the diseases and then the microbes which cause them and why do they only cause that disease and not something else, right? Guys, so it was very nice interacting with all of you. Let's meet tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us. Review books. I would not suggest to use review books when you're trying to make a foundation. Review books can help you when you have read your standard books, when you have attended classes, you have interacted with proper, teachers who are subject matter experts. Because we will discuss, actually, I would like to leave you with a food for thought for tomorrow. What is a doctor? And I would like some responses. If you want, you can send the responses on my social media or you can leave it in the comments in the video. What is a doctor? Okay, and we will take it up tomorrow. And when I answer what is a doctor, you will know why you shouldn't use review books, okay, and why you should refer to standard books and standard teachers. Build your concepts, and later on when you just have to revise something, you may refer to review books. Thank you so much. Yes, there is EdCom. Oh, of course, my notes are enough. Of course, I would say that. Why would I tell you they're not enough? But they are really enough to pass and also to clear a lot of competitive exams. Thank you so much, Talha. Yes, notes बनाना चाहिए, बिल्कुल बनाना चाहिए हैंड रिटन नोट्स, if that is your cup of tea. If it is not your cup of tea, then don't waste time trying to make notes. But the thing that I always tell the students is, exam to हाथ से ही लिखना है ना. At the end of the day, you have to write the exams. So don't lose the habit of writing. So what the notes help you to achieve is to keep that habit of writing. Like I said, stay in the game. So when you make notes with your hands, it helps you stay in the game. Again, immersive experience, all the senses involved. To save patient's life, how can my notes be enough to save patient's life? They're enough to save a patient's life if he's dying from infectious diseases. There is a lot of FOMO related to the books that we use. I definitely understand that there is a lot of FOMO because there is a lot of information. When we were MBBS students, there was just one book, which was Anant Narayan, and then there was Chatterjee, and we had no options, right? So the more choices that you get, the more FOMO you tend to feel. But I would like to tell you one thing, that there is one fact. Sun rises from the east, so sun rises from the east. Why does day happen? How atmosphere functions, how the sun's rays come to you? They're all science-based facts. They're the same in each and every book, and these are the same facts that each and every teacher is teaching you. The language of the books is different, the pictures might be different, the quality of the paper might be different, the feel of the book might be different, the presentation of the teacher might be different. Depending upon that, you pick and choose what you like. Don't be in FOMO, because at the end of the day, the facts remain the same. Nobody over here is sitting and doing research and telling you something extra. Before taking this class, I was not doing some groundbreaking research and describing something new about these organisms. Okay, I am also teaching you. All the other teachers are only teaching you what has been established. So, good teachers will not leave out any information. They will give you all the information packaged in a way which is very, very palpable and easy to understand. So that is the only thing. So whichever teacher, whichever platform you pick, stick with it. Is this series free on YouTube? Of course it's free on YouTube. I suppose that is why you're able to watch it. Ma'am, books specifically for prof or standard books are enough. See, for professional exams, it is very important to understand what is the protocol or what is the trend in your college. That is what your seniors will tell you. Because why are these trends set in colleges, I'll tell you, is because these were the books which were recommended by the profs, by the professors. And then those professors who stay in those colleges for so many years, they have a tendency to ask particular set of questions. So what books they do refer to make set your question papers. So every university and every college has a trend. I have given you a few options of the books. You can always go back and look at those options. But depending upon what goes on in your college, please talk to your seniors and decide depending upon the trend which is there in the college. Okay, this is a very controversial question, Apurva Shastri and Anant Narayan. Please pick up a book, read a chapter and decide for yourself. The book whose language is more comfortable to use, facts don't seem very, very heavy on your brain, please go ahead with that book. How can we remember everything and revise all 3 subjects? At the end of the day, you will also have to revise 19 subjects. So, it is only important to remember the important things, not each and every line, not each and every word. The only and only way to remember all of this, which seems so heavy and so hectic, is to build concepts. The day you start to rote learn the mathematical formulas, you're in soup, right? So a lot of the things, how do your teachers remember everything? Because they have lived that life, they have worked with those things, and it has now become their muscle memory. Okay, similarly, how you go to the gym, you lift weights, one day even 10 kgs is difficult, and just like that you're lifting 70 kgs, is because you have trained your muscle. So you train your brain by again and again referring to those facts. That is one way. Another way is, whenever you're sitting down, whenever you're referring to any teacher, really get into the details and depths of that topic and build a concept around it, because it is science at the end of the day. Even if it is biology, which has the bad reputation of being a subject which you have to really rote learn, but there is a lot of logic and concept behind it also. So in your second year, try to build the foundation, the basis and your concepts, And then at the end of the day, when you have basic concepts, then whatever you have to rote learn becomes that much lesser for you later on, okay? And then there are those forgettable things you have to keep revising again and again. Can I apply for Gray's Anatomy correction on certain points? I'm sure they have a email ID or some number, and it's commendable if you have found some corrections in Gray's Anatomy, because it would be quite controversial, because Gray's Anatomy is the standard against which everything else is checked. So probably you should apply for corrections in the book that you're talking about. Yes, there are practicals on the app, Tejas. We have performed practicals in the laboratories, given you thorough steps, performed it for you with our own hands, given you a set of questions which are asked, how to approach the vivas, what not to say, what to say, buzzwords, everything's been covered. The practical videos are available on the app. Mental health balance. I am not a mental health professional, but I am a person who's been in your shoes, and I can only say, please talk. Please talk to your friends. Please talk to your tribe. Please talk to your parents. Please talk to student counselors in your colleges. Mental health should be taken as seriously as anything else. So if you feel that you're struggling, you're not alone. Of course you're struggling. It is a great journey that you're on. Please talk. Talk about it. Microbiome, the new anat of second year? Absolutely not, Malini. It is not the new anat of second year, because it could not be anatomy, right? Microbiology is the world of microorganisms. It is that one subject which takes you out of the human body, inside the human body, back and forth, back and forth. So it will give you an integrated interaction of how the microbe interacts with your body, okay? It is not the new anatomy of second year. I don't believe it, because I believe that every time that a microbe interacts with a human, there is a certain behavior, there is a certain pattern, and that is how the things start rolling. And every time we talk about lab diagnosis and all of those dry things, they are also very, very logical. Lab diagnosis, we will talk about it when we talk about general microbiology, and I will tell you how we devise these methods of lab diagnosis, and these are not just random tests that have been devised because some scientists discovered them somewhere. There is pure logic behind why we use one particular test for the lab diagnosis of one particular organism. So my advice would be, stick with me, watch the lectures, and then you will realize that the driest most parts of microbiology actually have a lot of logic behind them. Microbiology is definitely easy. Hard or easy? It is definitely easy, but you have to spend some time with it. Cracking NEET itself was not easy. I'm sure you know that, right? Yes, practicals of microbiology are there on the app. Yeah, so you will get the initial lectures on YT, and after that, of course, you can subscribe to the app also, because it would be a good thing, because then you can stay with us for the next 10 months, and then we can go on this journey together. Oh, would you recommend reading textbooks before or after your lecture? Whenever you find time. Whenever you find time, Satvik, because it is the best approach to listen to the teacher, then read in the book, or read in the book, then listen to the teacher. But you know, it's always better to go back to the book after listening to the teacher, because the teacher is going to give you a presentation, a story, which will give you a basic concept, and then when you will read your book, the book will make more sense to you. My teaching will be smartboard based. I am going to write on the smartboard. Today's lecture was just an orientation, so there was not much to write. Yes, बिल्कुल साथ साथ notes बना सकते हैं. I think on that note, we have taken a lot many questions. If you have any more questions, please ping me on the social media, and you can also get in touch with the team at pwmed. I will see all of you tomorrow at the same time, 6:30 p.m. We are going to dive into general microbiology with the first lecture, which is going to be the continuation of the story that we talked about. Thanks a lot everyone for joining. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.